Across the planet, there are roads where if you slip up by just a few centimeters, you will fall straight into hell and never come back. From routes clinging to vertical cliffs where the wheels are right on the edge of the abyss, to roads with hundreds of sharp turns that force drivers to steer constantly. Or routes where just a small bump can cause a massive explosion. They all go far beyond the limits of normal safety. What is truly amazing is that despite the extreme terrain and long journeys, there are still people every day who choose to gamble their lives to cross these paths. The following is a list of the world's most dangerous roads, challenging every driver. Especially the last location, where just looking through a screen is enough to make you shiver with fear. Starting the list is Fairy Meadows, a road where just looking at a photo is enough to make many people give up on the idea of going there. Perched in the middle of the majestic Karakoram Range in Pakistan, the route stretches about 16 kilometers from Raikot Bridge to the village of Taito. At an altitude of nearly 3,300 meters at the foot of the killer mountain Nanga Parbat, the road is like a thread draped across a vertical cliff. Below is a deep abyss with no guardrails. The sound of gravel grinding under the tires is terrifying. Just 1 second of distraction, and the vehicle will be swallowed by the depths. To get to Fairy Meadows, you can only travel by 4x4 Jeep. Driven by locals from Raikot Bridge, then hike for about 3 to 4 hours from Taito village through the mountains to reach the meadows. If you are lucky enough to finish the route, you will get to see the peak of the killer mountain Nanga Parbat, 8,126 meters high and covered in permanent snow. A worthy reward for those who dare to face death. It is not always being on high cliffs without guardrails that is scary. Salang Pass haunts people in a different way when the entire fear is trapped inside a tunnel. The Salang Pass and tunnel in Afghanistan is a strategic route through the Hindu Kush Mountains. Located at an altitude of about 3,400 meters. At the center is the Salang Tunnel, nearly 2.7 kilometers long. built in the 1960s, where thousands of vehicles crowd through every day. The safety threat comes from the poor ventilation system inside the tunnel. Exhaust fumes build up thickly, making the air suffocating and creating a high risk of explosions, leaving drivers to hold their breath and pray as they pass through. In winter, avalanches frequently occur at both ends of the tunnel. In 2010, a massive avalanche buried hundreds of vehicles, killing more than 150 people right on this route. Knowing how dangerous this road is, would you still dare to set foot here once in your life? Have you ever seen a picture of half a bus wheel hanging in mid-air? That isn't a Hollywood action movie. It is the reality in Peru. Here, mountain roads cling to the sides of the Andes, connecting Lima, Cusco, Junín, and Ayacucho, sitting at altitudes of 3,000 to 5,000 meters. These routes, ranging from dozens to over 100 kilometers long, wind like threads in the sky with extremely sharp hairpin turns. Many sections are so narrow that one sharp turn can leave a wheel dangling over the abyss. At such extreme altitudes, fog, ice, and a lack of oxygen make it easy to lose control of the wheel. Formed from the ancient road network of the Incas thousands of years ago, the routes were later upgraded for mining and trade. But the danger here has never decreased. A series of buses falling into the abyss, killing many people, has turned this place into a symbol of gambling with fate. Where fear and majestic beauty go hand in hand, urging travelers to come and conquer it. If your car breaks down on the Dalton Highway, don't bother calling for help, because your screams will be swallowed by the frost before anyone can hear you. Here, the biggest enemy is not the abyss, but the deathly silence of the Alaska wilderness. About 666 kilometers long, this route runs through the frozen wilderness, with sections over 300 kilometers long that have no gas stations or houses. On both sides is wasteland, and ahead is a road with no clear destination, stretching to the foot of the mountains. Most of the surface is gravel and dirt. In summer, it is dusty and slippery, while in winter, it is covered in a layer of white ice and snow. Temperatures can drop below -40 degrees Celsius, and strong winds and blizzards can appear at any time. On the Dalton Highway, danger does not come from falling into a deep abyss or colliding with another car. It comes from the fact that you could be left alone in a desolate place with almost no help. If your car breaks down, you might have to wait hours or even a whole day for someone to pass by. Yet the raw beauty of the distant snow-capped mountains and the endless sky here makes many people long to experience that isolation once in their lives. While the rest of the world is racing for speed, in Karnali, Nepal, it will take you 5 days just to cover 250 kilometers. But that is if you are lucky enough not to be swallowed by the abyss. The Karnali Highway is a dirt and dust-filled road that hugs the slopes of the Himalayas, with some sections only 2 to 3 meters wide. During the rainy season, mud turns the route into a slippery rope, where vehicles must crawl meter by meter if they want to win against the door of death. Haunting statistics show that every year, more than 100 lives are lost in the abyss due to accidents. But ironically, for many remote villages, this is the vital road where food and fuel must pass through every day. Unlike them, you have a choice. So, would you choose to go down that road? When you hear the number 600 mentioned regarding a road, what do you think of? A road length or an altitude of 600 meters? No. Would you believe that is the number of turns on the Dragon Road, Panlong Ancient Road in China? The entire route, with more than 600 turns, looks like a giant dragon winding through the mountains. And with just one small mistake, you could fall off the dragon's back at any moment. The terrain is steep, the air is thin at an altitude of up to 4,100 meters, and the dense Z-shaped turns mean the driver almost never has a second to rest their hands. The risk of accidents from landslides and slipping tires is always lurking, making anyone wary. However, it is that very danger that creates an irresistible attraction, as each turn opens up a spectacular view of the mesmerizing Panlong ancient road. Here, the challenge is not just at the start, but stretches endlessly over every meter of the road. And the question is, do you have the courage to get through all 600 of those turns? There are roads that don't kill you with an abyss, but torture you with exhaustion. RN5 is a literal torture journey where the highway disappears and only endless mud remains. The route in Madagascar, about 400 kilometers long, along the country's east coast, is an example. Once designed as a coastal highway, in reality, most of RN5 has severely degraded, turning into a chain of mud and deep holes. Some sections almost disappear after the rainy season. A journey that should take a few hours can last 2 to 3 days in the rainy season, or even longer if the vehicle gets stuck. Since there is no rescue service, many drivers have to bring shovels, tow ropes, and spare fuel to save themselves on the road. Makeshift bridges, landslide sections, and total isolation make RN5 a real test to see how far you can go before nature forces you to stop. All the previous fears seem like nothing compared to the suffocating atmosphere of New Delhi traffic. With a high percentage of pedestrians, bicycles, and motorcycles compared to the rest of India, this place is in a state of road traffic alarm, with up to 1,500 fatal accidents every year. There are no deep abysses or cliffs, but every day, millions of vehicles crowd the congested roads of the Indian capital. Motorcycles, cars, buses, tuk-tuks, and pedestrians all move at once, creating a chaotic flow with almost no clear rules. Dust from exhaust pipes plus winter fog significantly reduces visibility. Vehicles might turn suddenly, slam on the brakes, or drift into lanes in a split second. The sound of horns is constant, causing heavy noise pollution. Driving here, you will understand what a true test of nerves is. Also in India, Zoji La Pass is a completely opposite place. Forward or backward? A question that seems simple, but this place will pull you into an intense mental battle. Located at an altitude of about 3,528 meters in the Himalayas, this pass is only about 3 meters wide on average, just enough for one lane. When two trucks face each other, one of them is forced to back up on a road hanging between a cliff and a deep abyss, where there are no guardrails for protection. In winter, temperatures can drop to -20 degrees Celsius, and blizzards and landslides happen frequently, sometimes erasing the entire road overnight. Every year, many accidents still occur due to slipping or loss of control. Zoji La is where drivers play a psychological game. Here, you don't just need skills, you need nerves of steel to decide, move forward or back, when there is only one option ahead. In Katanga, the road is not only destroyed by nature, it is groaning under the weight of human greed. And hundreds of tons of ore. Located in a large mining area of the DR Congo, the roads in Katanga are always packed with ultra-heavy ore trucks. Convoys weighing dozens of tons move constantly. This causes the dirt roads to be torn up and severely degraded. Deep ruts and large potholes appear on the surface. It is dusty in the dry season and muddy in the rainy season. Combined with a lack of control, accidents here happen all the time. If the roads are a driver's nightmare, the railway here is a horror for passengers. Each train here carries up to 2,000 people, triple the allowed capacity. Crowds are packed tight, lying all over the roof of the train. The train runs at 10 kilometers per hour and can take several days for the whole journey. Going to the bathroom has to be done right on the spot. Into plastic bags or boxes and then thrown straight out the window. Would you believe in a road that can erase itself? In the Amazon, maps are just a theory. Because in reality, the jungle can reclaim these paths at any time. Stretching for hundreds or even thousands of kilometers through the Amazon rainforest. Many routes like BR-319 or the Trans-Amazonian Highway are just dirt roads in the middle of the jungle. The road surface is only 3 to 6 meters wide, and the space above is also limited by low trees, about 2.5 to 4 meters high. In the dry season, they are full of dust and potholes. But when the rainy season comes, the entire road can turn into an endless sea of mud. And makeshift wooden bridges collapse, leaving the road completely isolated. There are sections where the mud is half a wheel deep and trucks get stuck one after another for dozens of kilometers. A journey of a few hours can last many days, and drivers even have to sleep right on the road because they cannot move further. For them, each trip is not just a battle with mud, but a struggle for life and their daily bread. In Haiti, the road will attack you from all sides. From the deathly potholes deep under your wheels to the black gun barrels lurking in the shadows. The mountain roads here run through steep terrain, some over 2,000 meters above sea level. The 3 to 5 meter wide road surface is severely degraded due to a lack of maintenance. Potholes and cracks appear, and many sections almost collapse after heavy rain or earthquakes. There are deadly deep holes that can snap a truck's axle at any moment. Vehicles here are usually overloaded, especially buses and trucks filled with people and goods. Just a loss of balance at the sharp turns on the mountainside can have very serious consequences. Due to deforestation, heavy rain brings landslides, making the already weak roads many times more dangerous. Additionally, instability comes from armed gangs with aggressive attitudes along the route. Despite the lurking dangers, the people here have no choice but to keep crossing every day to maintain their connection to the outside world. No matter how well you drive, when you stand before this next location, you will no longer feel confident in your own abilities. With 200 to 300 people dying every year, the North Yungas Road in Bolivia, also known as the Death Road, was once nicknamed the most dangerous in the world. The route is about 60 to 70 kilometers long, sitting precariously at altitudes between 1,200 meters and 4,600 meters in the wild mountains. The highest point at La Pass is 4,650 meters. To see the edge of the abyss clearly, vehicles must drive on the left side, contrary to Bolivia's general rules. But even so, thick fog, heavy rain, and waterfalls pouring directly onto the road surface make driving extremely dangerous. Today, a new route has replaced most of the traffic, but the Death Road still exists as a destination for thrill seekers. They can cycle along the cliffs, stop halfway, and look down at the deep valley below to admire the breathtakingly majestic natural scenery. Before we get to the next location, stop for 3 seconds and look at your phone. Did you know that over 70% of global battery components must pass through the Lubumbashi death corridor in the DR Congo? This is a vital transport route connecting the city of Lubumbashi with mining areas and borders, where thousands of heavy trucks circulate every day. Overloading pressure causes the road surface to degrade quickly, with large potholes, deep ruts, and damaged sections stretching for kilometers. During peak hours, lines of vehicles follow one another, creating long rows with almost no space. If just one vehicle has an accident, the entire route can be paralyzed for hours. Dust in the dry season, mud in the rainy season, plus overloaded vehicles and lack of control make accidents frequent. In Lubumbashi, danger doesn't come from one moment, but from the constant pressure of thousands of trips, where just one link having a problem can cause the whole system to collapse instantly. If you think danger always comes from the road itself, there is a place where the biggest threat is right on top of you. What would it be like if you were driving with a bomb on you? In Nigeria, there are forest trails and spontaneous, rugged, degraded border paths used for smuggling fuel. This is where old, battered motorcycles can carry hundreds of liters of gasoline, with plastic cans stacked from the inside of the bike outward. With heat rising from the exhaust pipe, just a small collision can cause a massive explosion. To avoid enforcement, drivers often flee at high speeds, which increases the risk of accidents even more. Despite moving between mobile bombs that could explode at any moment, the high profits from illegal trade drive many to risk their lives crossing these routes every day. Nearly halfway around the world, the Tianmen mountain route in China will make your head spin with constant steering. Only about 11 kilometers long, This road features 99 sharp turns. Seen from above, the whole scene looks like a giant dragon winding along the vertical mountainside. The altitude changes from about 200 meters to over 1,300 meters in just a short distance, with many steep slopes and consecutive hairpin turns. Drivers have almost no time to rest, as they must constantly steer and control their speed. Thick fog frequently covers this area, causing visibility to drop sharply, especially at blind turns. One small mistake can send a vehicle off the winding mountain road. Yet right in the middle of those floating white clouds and rolling mountains, the magical beauty of nature makes this dangerous journey an experience worth trying at least once in a lifetime. In Gabon, the jungle roads will show you what it means to swallow an entire vehicle. Hidden deep in the Central African rainforest, the routes in Gabon stretch 200 to 800 kilometers and almost lack the concept of a real road. Most are just narrow red dirt paths, 3 to 5 meters wide through the forest, where heavy rain can fall suddenly and last for hours. When that happens, the road surface quickly turns into a layer of thick mud, half a wheel deep. There are sections where trucks are stuck for days, wheels spinning in place as if glued to the ground. Many drivers must travel in groups, using tow ropes to pull each vehicle through the mud traps. No signs, no signals, only thick jungle on both sides and the echoing sounds of nature. In Gabon, the road doesn't kill you instantly. It challenges you with exhaustion and ultimate patience. If you think you are a skilled driver, the mountain roads in the Papua region of Indonesia will make you redefine your abilities. The mountain routes in Papua cut through thick tropical forests and rugged highlands where altitudes can exceed 3,000 meters. Because of the young geology, many road sections here are still extremely primitive, with makeshift bridges patched together from tree trunks and rusty iron. Heavy rain, almost year-round, keeps the road surface in a constantly muddy state. There are sections where trucks have to pull each other with ropes to get through, taking 3 days for a 50-kilometer stretch. Fog, landslides, and sharp turns hidden in the jungle make visibility almost zero. If you have an accident, you cannot call for rescue immediately and can only wait in despair. Driving in Papua means you are carving your own path through one of the wildest regions on the planet. In Congo, hold your breath and listen carefully, because death can loom out of the brush with the roar of a 100-ton block of steel. In the DR Congo, many dirt roads cross old railway lines where there are no gates, no signals, and not even any warnings. These crossings become death-blind spots in the middle of the jungle. Vehicles move on roads that are either dusty or muddy, and visibility is severely restricted. And then, suddenly from the thick trees, a train appears. No clear horn, no control system, only a few seconds to react. Many collisions have happened when vehicles could not stop in time on the slippery roadbeds. Especially in the rainy season, when brakes are almost useless, crossing the tracks becomes a real gamble. If you thought the previous roads were dangerous enough, this place will make you ask, why does such a crazy road exist? Located in northern India, the Ladakh mountain road network goes through passes over 5,600 meters high, including routes like Kardung La or Umling La. Once considered the highest motorable roads in the world. At this altitude, oxygen levels are only about 50 to 60% of sea level, making many drivers feel dizzy, have headaches, or even lose their sense of direction. The road surface is narrow, many sections are only about 3 meters wide, and it's covered with gravel and ice. Strong winds and temperatures can drop below -20 degrees Celsius in winter, while one side is a cliff and the other is a bottomless abyss. These roads are the clearest evidence of the fragility of a human life, forcing you to stay completely alert throughout the journey. If you want to roll the dice with fate, come to the border between Colombia and Venezuela. One of the most chaotic and dangerous areas in South America. stretching over 2,200 kilometers along the mountain routes around Cucuta, San Cristobal, fuel smuggling takes place openly as a part of life. Venezuela has the largest oil reserves in the world. Since the crisis, 1/3 of its fuel is sold illegally in Colombia. Every day, groups of people carrying flammable gasoline cans weave through narrow and slippery roads. Here, just a small collision, and everything will instantly turn into a sea of fire. Danger comes not only from the terrain, but also from people. Armed groups and criminals control each stretch of road, ready to rob or attack to win transport rights. Raids, gunfire, or fires and explosions can always happen at any time. Here, the line between life and death is as thin as the national border itself. But even knowing all the risks, they keep going. Because for many, this is not a choice, but the only way to make a living and survive. In the Central African Republic, the Nola Bangui route terrifies people in a completely different way. Stretching over 400 kilometers, the route passes through some of the most remote and unstable areas in the region. Due to a lack of vehicles, thousands of people struggle like a battle to cram onto old trucks, carrying 70 to 100 people plus goods for nearly a whole day. The terrain is mostly red dirt, mud, and deep ruts from heavy rain, causing vehicles to sway and shake violently. There are bad road sections where passengers have to get out and walk to reduce the load, and drivers take hours to cover just a few kilometers. Besides that, spontaneous checkpoints, highway robbery, and armed conflict occur along the route, making each trip not just a terrain challenge, but a gamble on life safety. Despite the lurking dangers, this route remains the only lifeline connecting remote areas to the capital, forcing people to trade safety for their livelihoods. Who says only jungles and high mountains are scary? Sometimes European civilization creates mazes that make you want to give up immediately. Rondo Radosława in Warsaw, Poland, is one of the most confusing traffic junctions in Europe. Multiple lanes intertwine, with intersections between cars, buses, trams, and pedestrians, forming a non-stop, moving maze. Lanes change constantly, signs are dense, and the heavy flow of vehicles makes drivers, especially strangers, easily feel information overload and get lost. Just choosing the wrong lane or missing a beat, and you can be sucked into the chaotic traffic flow instantly. One wrong decision in a few seconds can lead to a chain collision between multiple vehicles. The road sends a reminder. Sometimes, the most dangerous road is not in the wild, but right in the middle of a modern city. Does it give you goosebumps to hear there is a road in the world that makes insurance companies refuse to pay out? If you drive on it, that is Skipper's Canyon Road in New Zealand. The road, about 22 kilometers long, was carved directly into the cliff in the 19th century during the gold rush. Since then, it has almost never been widened, with the width staying around 2 to 3 meters and almost no room to turn around. Sharp turns between vertical cliffs and the deep shot-over river abyss mean drivers almost cannot see oncoming cars until it is too late. Because of the high level of risk, many car rental contracts in New Zealand state clearly, if you drive yourself into Skipper's Canyon, the insurance will not be valid. Driving here, your journey is dangerous but also overwhelming, because the narrow, precarious turns go hand in hand with the spectacular beauty of the Rocky Mountains and the deep river below. What would you do if the road under your feet suddenly slid into the abyss? In the Peruvian Amazon, landslides are not a risk. They are part of the daily schedule. The forest routes in Peru are 100 to 500 kilometers long, located at altitudes from about 400 meters up to 4,000 meters. As they cross the Andes. During the tropical rainy season, vehicles have to swim through many slippery mud sections. Landslides happen frequently and can block the road or pull a whole section into the abyss in just minutes. Thick fog, dense trees, and turns that hide the view make it almost impossible for drivers to predict what is waiting ahead. Meanwhile, the wet road surface and mud cause grip to drop sharply, making it harder to control the vehicle. But the scariest thing here is the isolation. No gas stations, no signals, no rescue. If you have a problem, you can only sit and wait for hours or even days. If you have been holding your breath because of vertical cliffs, the next road will give you a deceitful break because of one of the most perfect traps death has ever set. Autopista del Sol, a modern highway over 300 kilometers long in Mexico, is exactly like that. The spacious, flat-paved road with separate lanes creates a visual illusion. Because of the mountainous terrain, this route has many long slopes and wide turns located at blind spots, causing drivers to speed without realizing the danger ahead. Clay terrain and a poor drainage system, combined with heavy rain, forms sinkholes that swallow cars in the middle of the road. Because they are moving at high speeds, the pileups here are extremely serious. In July 2017, a huge sinkhole suddenly appeared in the middle of the Paso Highway, killing a father and son. Autopista del Sol brings a lesson. Don't be careless even when you see a road that looks safe. This next location will torture your spirit with journeys that seem to have no end. Chin Hills is a route winding through the mountains of western Myanmar, near the Indian border, at altitudes of about 1,500 to 3,000 meters. With a series of consecutive sharp turns. The road surface is mostly dirt and stone, frequently eroded by heavy rain. During the rainy season from June to September, mud and landslides make travel extremely dangerous. Overnight, a stream can turn into a river, forcing drivers to get out of the car and wade into the water to check the depth. Being submerged in water for a long time also causes significant damage to the vehicles. Here, you are traveling through a land where nature always makes the decisions instead of humans. On the Ethiopia-Djibouti transport corridor, death often doesn't warn you with a roar. It quietly hides behind clouds of red dust. Where old freight trains can cut across you at any time without a signal or gate. Here, many dirt roads run parallel to or cross old tracks where freight trains still move every day. The point is that warning systems at many spots are almost non-existent. No gates, no signals, just tracks cutting across residential areas or empty plains. vehicles and people are forced to observe and judge for themselves when to cross. But with dusty terrain, harsh sun, and limited visibility, spotting an incoming train is not always easy. And once it appears, that train almost cannot stop in time. The fragile crossing between humans and uncontrollable trains has turned each trip through here into a high-risk gamble. Forget the previous roads for a moment. This final location will make you tip your hat in admiration at an unbelievable truth. Would you believe this tunnel through a vertical cliff was carved entirely by hand with primitive tools? Hidden in the vertical Taihang Mountains, the Guoliang Road is famous not only for its danger, but also for the extraordinary story behind it. Carved through the mountain by hand by 13 villagers from Guoliang in the 1970s, this route is only wide enough for one car, with large windows carved along the cliff, opening up to the deep abyss below. There are no solid guardrails or safety pull-offs, and every turn carries unpredictable risks. Unlike many dangerous roads created by nature, Guoliang is a living testament to human will when facing isolation and hardship. Yet, it is that very place that opens up the majestic scenery of rolling mountains, where light through each stone window creates a beauty that is both raw and magnificent. Making each journey an unforgettable experience. We have just gone through the most dangerous roads on the planet that are enough to make many people hesitate just by looking. In those places, the road is not just a journey, but a livelihood. In the harshest conditions, humans still adapt, still move forward, and still find ways to turn dangerous places into a part of life. Not because they aren't afraid, but because they are strong enough to keep walking even though they know the risks ahead. And perhaps the most amazing thing is not in the roads, but in the will of the people who walk on them. What about you? Are you sure you watched the whole video without shivering once? Which road haunts you the most? Which road do you want to set foot on at least once?